Thank you for joining us on this special Thursday night edition. It is March 14th, 2019. Join us on Twitter at StrangeDays2015, trending with the hashtag Beyonders. You can put your posts, comments, and questions for the show there. And if you want more BTS after the show is over, hang out at the Beyonders Chat Discord channel. There are plenty of fringe topics to discuss with a friend or to get more info about a certain subject. Ask for an invite to the Discord channel or go to beyondthestrange.com and click on the link there and get into the Beyonders Chat Discord channel. All right, since this is going to be a quick show, it really wasn't planned. It was and it wasn't, but I'm very happy to have my friends and host from Nox Mente here, and I'm going to go ahead and just go over their bio real quick. I know Jerry will stop me at any time, but
it doesn't have to be a short.
Okay. Nox Mente is a show dedicated to exploring consciousness through dreams, dreaming, and dream theory using a wide-angle lens. Jerry and Niish have opened up this conversation to a diverse world of dreamers. Their goal is to help in the process of bringing conscious intent to the state of dreaming, light to the shadowy corners of this experience we all have access to each time we drift off to sleep. Jerry and Niish strive to maintain an open and neutral environment as hosts. There are many theories on the process of dreaming in altered states, and we want to hear them all. No information is irrelevant. When it comes to dreams, it is in the overlap of individual experiences that we find pathways into thinking and journeys of the collective. And for more information on Nox Mente, you can go to noxmente.simplecast.fm. And if there's other links, Jerry,
you can just go to noxmente.com too.
And you can go to noxmente.com. I don't know how you have that set up. So anyways.
Very well.
Welcome, Niish and Jerry from Nox Mente. Thank you for joining the show tonight.
Thanks.
Thank you. Us. Yeah, it's a pleasure as always. You know, we love you.
We love you too.
I love you a long time, dude.
It has been a while.
Oh man. And you know, I'm sorry for the chaotic scheduling. It's just, you know, life.
Dude, it's the times. There's so much going on.
Way too much going on.
It's happening. That's why.
It is the happening. This is the event, right, Jerry?
No, the event's bullshit.
Well, isn't life the event?
That's true.
Pretty much.
I mean, this is the event. It's life.
The event is each person when they wake up and realize what the hell's going on. That's the event for them.
Right.
So there's stuff about DNA upgrades and aliens and the sky. I have no idea. I doubt it. But, you know, stories are out there.
Well, something
strange have happened.
Something is definitely going on. I mean, I know everyone says that every year. This is the year. This is disclosure. This is that. But it does seem like we're inching more and more every year to something really big coming.
Or the fervor just gets stronger.
Well, the thing that I've noticed is that if you just look into the outer world, the big events that used to be major, you know, like we'd have maybe a few a year, and sometimes there would be pretty peaceful years. They're happening all the time. It's a constant, it's a nonstop pounding. And so I'm not imagining that. The stuff is crazy, just the weather alone. Then we've got the political fervor that's at a new level. And for me, as an observer to all this, whatever's happening, there is an amping of energy. And of course, what we feed grows. So the collective is definitely playing part into this, feeding this as well. And part of the feeding is what's not actually being eaten, and what's in the side dishes that nobody ever wants to get at the buffet, right? I think there might be something special going on in those.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's interesting. I'm really glad that we did this show now, because the last couple of weeks have been just really bizarre, and your show, Nox Mente, has just been, it's just been like taking off, running. I really commend you guys and congratulate you guys on your success.
Where do you get that notion from?
I just feel that it really has been, because I have been following it, and you guys just started like what, a year ago?
2 in June.
Oh, has it been 2? So time flies, right? But
it's crazy.
But I've been doing my show for almost 4 years, and it's just amazing how quickly, or to me, it seems like you guys are gaining momentum. So maybe
I personally think we're gaining momentum as well. I'm getting more people contacting me privately than I did last year at this time. It seems like it's...
And nobody contacts me. It's hilarious.
I know, I get everyone contacting me. I think it's because I'm always flapping on Nox Mente.
It's true. I'm like third wheel.
Jer's like, but you're not third wheel. And this bitch doesn't run without Jer. But Jer is on all kinds of other stuff too. So if you want to hear Jerry flapping about, he's everywhere.
I'm not everywhere, but on Tuesday nights I do the Cruising Mistake thing. I have been lately. It's a live radio show.
Great show on Tuesday, by the way. Time travel episode.
Yeah. Time travel one. Yeah, because it was show number 88.
88.
And we thought it would be interesting.
Oh my God. And your hive, the best hive so far was this last one. I freaking loved it, Jerry.
Oh yeah?
I thought it was the best one. I mean, really. And there are some really good hives.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the other show I do on Saturdays. Sometimes. I'm thinking about like a monthly show now.
Yeah, I didn't even have any idea you guys were doing a hive this past Saturday, but it doesn't matter, because this last like I said, the last couple of weeks literally have just been, like waking up, going to sleep, waking up, going to sleep. Life is happening. Life is happening. Life is happening. I didn't even do a show this past Sunday because
like Adam Sandler and Click.
pretty much. That was a great movie too, but that wouldn't be considered time travel, would it?
In a way.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
You don't remember it.
I guess. That's a good way though. But what happened this past weekend, I got actually last week I got a notification my auntie was really, really sick. And she's been in this facility, and I didn't have time to go visit her last week. So Saturday, actually this past Sunday, we decided to go see her because she wasn't breathing right and all kinds of stuff. And it was just a really bad situation. She was really had a lot of health problems. And felt really bad. So my immediate family, we all went with my mom to go visit. This is her sister. When we got there, it was just like horrible because I didn't even recognize her. That's how bad she was.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, Dave.
Thank you. And it's luckily things have gotten a turn for the better. But that day we thought that was the last time we were going to see her. It was that bad. And there's a lot of family politics involved, if you will. And I don't want to air it all out on the show, but it does seem like she's a lot better. So anyone out there, thank you for the prayers for my auntie, and I really appreciate that. She's doing better, and I'm gonna go see her again Saturday. So I'm really happy about that.
How old is your auntie?
My auntie is 74 or something in that range. Somewhere 73, 74. Yeah.
I swear that just seems so young. I'm not even bound by the idea of age, but when I think of 70s, it just seems, hell, look at half the people in government are in their 70s.
Oh, I know.
I think they're more in their 80s.
Well, they're getting there, that's for sure.
I can't wait till
So
the big mass die-off comes.
is it coming? And then
These
plus,
people aren't going to live past 100.
Well, look, I mean, to me, it seems like there's been a lot of deaths so far.
yes.
And
Yes.
and in Hollywood, and not just in Hollywood, but politics, in my family, immediate family. I mean, it just really seems like there's just a lot going on, and
It just means you're getting old.
it does mean that. And I know that death comes with getting older, but I'm hearing from a lot of people this year, especially, so and so's brother passed away, someone's nephew got killed, yada yada. It's just been happening.
You want to
I
talk
lost
woo?
3 friends that were in, like, 2 were in their 30s and one was 50, so 52 or something. I think that's too young this year.
Mhm. Wow.
So it's not just like people that are considered elderly, although 120 is the new 80.
That's amazing.
Or 80 is the 120, yeah, is the new 80. Is that right? Did I say that right? I need more tea.
No, I need to get some tea for tonight.
So dig this if you want to talk some woo.
Okay.
The people who channel the aliens, okay, the Federation people,
Mm-hmm.
they're all talking about, a lot of people are talking about how there's energy waves coming from the galactic center through our sun to us, which is going to, quote unquote, raise the vibration of the planet to the point where anything that can't raise its own vibration to that point will have to leave.
Okay.
How did she know that my tooth hurts? It's funny. Anyway, yeah, so there's that explanation, if you would.
I'm sure there can be a lot of explanations. And talking about woo, I know we're going to get to a lot of woo tonight, because tonight is definitely about you, Jerry, and Nish. I know you guys are used to interviewing people on your show, but tonight's going to be about you. We want to learn more about you tonight. So let's start with Nish.
Oh Lord. Okay.
What got you into analyzing the dreams and that kind of thing? How was it growing up for Nish?
Well, I like to not go to the point where I don't analyze anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, I guess I guess I do passively, but I don't have any degrees or anything like that. So just to get that on the table, I know how the world is about those things. However,
Used
dreams,
to be.
right. Well, hopefully we're, people that study something a very long time. I don't care where, and I actually value people that study stuff deeply independently, rather than programs where you're regurgitating, or I don't know, the accepted method of becoming an expert in modern society seems to be very biased. So, however, I've always been interested in dreams. I had a very strange wake up when I was under 6 months of age, and I woke up, I've told this story so many times, but I woke up in my crib. My mother confirmed details with me later, and we figured it was like within the first 6 months because it was a specific room. And from then on, I hit the ground running. And
Mm-hmm.
so dreams have always been a very big part of my life. It seems like everyone around me, I've always been attracted to people that were willing to talk dreams with me. Because ironically, a lot of people won't talk dreams with you. They find we're moving away from that now.
Mm-hmm.
It's more, people are more open, but in the past, somehow that seemed like almost too personal for a lot of general conversation. And so you had to have, like, your besties would talk dreams. So yeah, that's how I started really pondering dreams. And when I was very young, it was the only escape I had in a rather unpleasant first part of my life, was my dream life, and then what Jungians call my active imagination. So it's all kind of tied in. But I was having out of body experiences, and anything to get out of the terrible situation I was in, and I found that to be the portal. And so there you have it. I mean, it's been a lifelong thing. I went through a phase, I think in the 80s, where I bought every dream book on the market, anything
Wow.
I could find. And I just think they're all bollocks. I'm sorry. There are great dream books on like OBE stuff and it with techniques and stuff like that. But as far as dream dictionaries and dream encyclopedias, at this point, I just think I still actually have some of them. I think it's good to make associations, but everyone's dealing with a different set of archetypes. Everyone's dealing with a different set or the archetypes look a little different. The archetypes are the archetypes, they're like the gods, but they look a little different from everyone's particular slant. And so for a person that grows up next to the ocean, the ocean's going to be an archetype for the collective unconscious, as opposed to someone in a city or in the woods, or on a forest. So those things really matter when we're interpreting dreams.
When you say you were growing up and you were reading a lot of books, I heard you mention Carl Jung. So there's definitely a lot of Jungian, how would you say?
Influence,
Influence,
for sure.
yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't even know what my life would be without Jung. Jung blew me away at a very young, it's a teenager. And just been involved in a Jungian community in the Midwest for quite a long time with real Jungians. And it's hard to separate that. I actually actively work at separating that and getting away from that language, though. I find it's hindering and it puts people off. And it's not something like identity is such a strange thing, right? I don't really, I'm definitely not a snowflake. I'm not a lefty left. I'm pretty moderate in everything I do, center of the road, because I want to take in everything and kind of value judge stuff from the razor's edge in the middle. So yes, Jung's heavily influenced me. I've read his complete library more than once. I've read all the major Jungians, starting with the early ones like Esther Harding and Francis Wicks and all them. And so I do have that background. Yes, I do.
I saw that you guys interviewed Laura London.
We love her, and she was just on Gordon White's Rune Soup this week too. So yes,
yeah, Laura's really cool. We've had some really cool conversations, and she's been a guest on my show, as well as just talking, off air, and just chatting and stuff. Just amazing knowledge that she has.
Yeah, she's awesome. Jerry wrangled her in. Jerry wrangles in the best people.
Good work, Jerry.
I'd actually been talking to Laura on Twitter or Twitter, I think.
Probably Twitter.
Yeah, I was on Twitter.
Yeah.
Before that, so.
Yeah, she's on both. She's on Facebook and
she's
Twitter.
From Chicago, and I'm from Chicago. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you guys got that in common. That's cool.
Someday we'll meet.
That's really cool.
Someday.
Well, I know she's a big Whitley Strieber fan. I believe they're friends, actually. So anything talking about Whitley Strieber and maybe getting somewhere, actually, she was at Contact in the Desert when I went to Contact in the Desert, so I actually got to meet her.
I like that she makes the rounds in these circles. I think Jerry just met Whitley, didn't you, Jerry?
No.
Who did you meet at?
Travis Walton.
Travis Walton. That's right.
I met a lot of people, but he was probably the
yeah.
Travis was a lot cooler to me than he was to Joe Roop. Joe's in the chat room right now. I'm just messing with you, Joe. But yeah,
hi, Joe.
We were in the. at the Ozark conference, and we both met Travis, and it was a really interesting experience. We got him to come on the show and talking in the early days of the Fringe FM. It was really cool. But
I talked to him about coming on Nox Mente, but I didn't invite him because he's all about his story,
right,
and he's really old. So I don't think he's going to break that. He's going to always, I don't know. I didn't think it would work. That's what I'm saying. He'd be waiting for the question about his abduction the whole time,
right. And I noticed that about the show. Well, now let me see if I can get this straightened out. Is Nox Mente a paranormal show, or is it something else?
It's uncategorized.
Exactly.
That's what I feel.
Just like Jerry and I, it's literally a reflection of
Neither of us believe in categories or groups or labels or memberships.
Deb's got a good question. Deb's got a good question in the chat. What's a good book about dreams?
No idea.
Oh man, I don't even know where to go with
How about
that.
for novices like us?
I mean, I think for me, yeah, I'm with Jerry on that. I think getting into maybe some depth psychology, and of course, who's the king? It's Jung.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I just said, I don't know, a few minutes ago, I find a lot of the books on dreams to not be to my liking. So I don't even browse. I don't even buy them anymore. I feel bad saying that, but Carl Jung has an amazing amount of stuff to say. I mean, really, the Red Book is from his Black books is filled with all his encounters with the collective unconscious and understanding how dreams play into that and how our set of symbols is churning round. As far as dream symbols and learning those, I think that's a personal journey. So when I say owl, you need to understand, what does owl mean for you? What is your association with owl? Owl can mean, it can be a harbinger of death to one person. It can be a life giver to another. I mean, there's so many layers to all of this, where the idea and notion of know thyself comes in here, because these are your personal symbols, and no one else can steer you on that. And I think that's part of the problem. That's wrong in the collective right now is people want to be told what to do in a weird, strange way and what not to do. So I'm the worst person to ask about that.
When you say collective, do you mean all of us as a consciousness? Sorry, Jerry. I'll let you answer that.
What was the question?
When you say collective, do you mean, or conscious? Yeah, collective. You just said collective earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mean all of us as human beings on this planet as one consciousness?
Yeah, and so it can take on different connotations according to the context in which we're evoking it. But like, say right now, everyone that's alive and walking on this plane, we make up a collective, and we're just talking about the living here. And that's a whole other rabbit hole Jerry and I get down a lot. And so we're all going about our daily lives. What are we? We're energy. We're energetic fields. We have psychic energy is a great book to read. We have, this energy is psychic, it's electric, and we start fashioning it together with others. We start having group think, our participation mystique, and that starts to move the collective. That starts to become its own thing. That's why we see big movements of whatever, this or that, this movement of, I don't even know what examples to use without triggering someone.
Don't worry about it.
Intersectionalism.
Right. Just anything. And so collectively, we're creating more than we are individually. However, our individual symbols, our individuality is a very important factor. And this is like Jung even talks about this as the whole idea of boundaries. But we see the idea within magical praxis, like the circle, right? The circle is the boundary. You're cutting yourself out from the collective and saying, this is me. This is my space. This is the I, and I'm going to work within this. And so, yeah, like I said, if you grow up in next to the ocean represents the unconscious, the collective unconscious, most likely. If you grow up in a large city, the large cityscape most likely represents in your inner world the collective unconscious, all that is.
Interesting. Jerry, you were going to say something earlier. Do you remember?
Yeah, I was going to say about books. If you buy books, my recommendation is to steer clear of books with strong imagery, because in my mind, I would like to create my own imagery for what I'm reading. And books have a lot of dreamy pictures and things in them, which could front load you for how you'll interpret things later on in the book. So
especially within context to this kind of stuff where we're talking about these your unconscious and your inner world. I mean, this is where you want to not be we want some freedom here, people.
It's your creative space, and if you have other people's imagery in it, then you're going to be dreaming their dream, if you will, instead of your own. Plus, it's a space where you can create whatever you want. And if you're limited to, if you start going down that path, looking at all these tons of pictures and going there, then you'll be in there, and there's nothing wrong with that either.
There's nothing wrong with it, and it's radical. It's Jerry and I saying this is actually pretty radical, and but whatever. I'm a person that reads a book a week usually. I have thousands of books. I love to read, so it's not like I'm anti-book at all. I
haven't read a book in years.
Jerry and I polarize each other on that end. I'm just saying on these kinds of things, and I guess that could be turned on me, like with, say, the Jungian stuff. I've front loaded myself with that, but Jung is rather radical, and Jung's ultimate, I think personally, is he's ultimately saying the work is done by yourself and for yourself. So he's actually, the way I understand Jung, is telling you this is an inner journey, this is your own journey, and at some point you need to undertake it. It all ties into the idea of self-gnosis, of individuation, of death, of moving through all these stages.
And it also doesn't mean that those things aren't real.
Yes.
The other planes, other realms, whatever you want to call it, like wherever the reptilians are from, if it's another timeline or a dimension or whatever, that's just as real to some people who are connected to it as our reality.
Right. And like, I'm really big on, associating film with reality, and like with the Matrix, like, say if you die in the Matrix, then you die in real life. Is that, I think it's possible that happens when you dream, and a person can die and then die. I know, I hear you laughing, Jared.
I'm only laughing because it's a prominent put forth adage, if you will. It's in every show that has some kind of altered state thing. If you die in there. The Nightmare on Elm Street, I think, was probably the first one I could think of.
Dreamscape
too, yeah.
Dreamscape
was the one where they'd weaponized it.
Right, they were using that one dude that was going into other people's dreams, then
the little creepy dude.
Yeah, and then what's his name? Yeah, Quaid, Randy Quaid. No, not Randy Quaid.
Not Randy.
Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid.
Yeah,
he didn't look weird.
Yeah, it's too bad. The
life of a repo man is always intense.
Repo Man was good. Man. Yeah.
This is one of the reasons why Nox Mente is fresh, is because we all have access to this experience of dreaming, and you don't need people to walk you through it. You get to experience it on your own and to make your own conclusions from it, to build your own house from it. And that is something I think the greater message, if I personally were trying to get out a greater message on dreaming, is that's it. You have access to it. There's no one holding secrets to the dream gate and the dream realms but yourself, by not giving yourself the permission to trust and learn for yourself what's going on with it. Dive deeper, go in deeper, ask questions.
And that's one thing I want to get to later on too is maybe analyzing the dreams. I know on your show, I talked to Jerry about this before, and it was I had asked him, "Do you guys interpret dreams?" And he said, "No, flat out."
Mm-hmm.
And I heard him just talk about like what, you know, if a person does dream, it becomes someone else's dream, and maybe that's why you guys do that. That's cool. I think that, and I agree with that. I get it, but I mean, isn't it kind of important to understand and interpret these dreams as well?
But isn't that about, that's the simple question of you, and it's like reading any kind of oracle system. It's like looking at anything in the world. When I say to you, what is the first thing that comes to mind when I say deep space? That's going to be your base idea of what that symbol represents. So when you encounter that symbol, when you're in dreams, there's where you start looking with what you think that symbol means, and then that can lead you down into other paths. And so I don't think anyone is qualified to interpret anyone else's dreams personally. I think the best we can do is guide people towards general meanings of what general symbols could possibly mean. But you're doing yourself an injustice if you don't just ask these questions of yourself and start looking at the world in this way. When something strange, something synchronistic happens in the world, well, what does that mean for you? How does that affect you? What does a black cat crossing the road mean for you? You can pull into a driveway that says, "Oh, this is a bad sign. There's something bad going to happen." And then what have you done? You've created a thought form that is going to possibly play out. You know, I think it's bad praxis. And then also there's the whole idea of how people get tied up on, well, they're not really therapists, Jerry, and we don't have any letters behind our names for this stuff. That
I do.
kind of,
I have two eyes.
thank you, Jerry.
I have two eyes too on my face,
Jerry.
of course. But
Exactly.
But yeah, our show's for entertainment purposes only. And you know, that question you asked me was loaded. Do I interpret dreams? Of course I do. Do I tell people what I think? No.
I wasn't very specific. It was vague. But
yeah,
Jerry, that's a good game, old bean. That's a good one.
Everybody interprets everybody's dreams when they hear. You can't help it. You start there. Oh, I wonder what that means. It just happens. It's natural.
The reason why I bring it up is because, you know, my parents are from the old country, and they bring back a lot of urban legends and lore. You know, there's a lot of mysticism and from Mexico, you know, and they've interpreted dreams. I have great grandmas and grandmas who would talk about, you know, what this meant, what that meant. And, you know, like, you know, my wife, Debbie, was in the chat room. She just mentioned something about, you know, teeth falling out. And that's one I've heard a lot. You know, I've heard
that's a classic.
Yeah, and I know you can go online and Google, you know, what do these dreams mean, and it'll come up with a list of dreams. You know, maybe you know, a dream about drowning or falling off a cliff or stuff like that. You know, and there'll be a meaning behind it. And is it because maybe it does become other people's dreams when they read stuff or they hear about that, and later on it's in their head? I'm going to out myself right now. I'm not a huge reader. A book really has to get my attention for me to read the book and not put it down or just even, you know, continue to read it. And, you know, by no means do I know a lot about Jung or anything like that. I do love the paranormal. And once I started getting into the paranormal, I found that I started crossing paths with, you know, Carl Jung and people who, you know, talk about Jung and this and that. And I think what you guys are doing is just amazing. I know it's entertainment, but it's also, to me, it's esoteric. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not.
Of course it is. That's, I don't know about Nish, but I pretty much look for the esoteric in everything.
When you guys talk about synchros, that's,
yeah.
That's part of it.
I'm 100% into all of it. And what I'm saying, and I think it's really juicy and important to consider the culture in which we grow up in. And these things affect how, so not only does where you personally grow up, which may be somewhere that is different from your cultural heritage, we have this kind of genetic memory, as everyone talks about. And those things play a big key role in what's going on as well. And as far as anything folky, now those are the books I'll buy. I live for folk books on dreaming, folk books on cooking, on magic, esoteric, anything, folk books on stitchery. So I love all that stuff and I value it. I'm just not pushing it on people. And I think that's the key thing. You lose teeth in a dream. Well, I mean, the classic thing is this is dealing with vanity. But I've heard stories where someone was losing teeth in their dreams. Beautiful set of teeth, by the way, she had, and she thought, and she's a very pretty girl as well. And she comes to me and she thinks she's having, dysphoria within her looks in the world. And I I'm looking at her going, geez, this girl's gorgeous and young. And so, I didn't have much to say because I don't engage in that kind of telling you what your dream means. But I just didn't feel that it was self-conscious the way it's possible. I know her pretty well, and we've never, and anyone who knows me, we talk about anything but surface level stuff. So I never knew her to be self-conscious or anything. Total extrovert, gifted with natural beauty, so out there, all this stuff. And it turns out she had a gum disease in real life, and so she was having dreams of teeth falling out. Well, she was heading in that direction. So there you go. There's against the stereotype of what that old school knowledge was.
Right.
And so it's just hard to factor in these things. This is like learning the tarot though, right? Where this, it's all symbols and you interpret the symbols and each card brings in a new bit of data or information to help you interpret the symbol.
It's like refining your query while you're data mining.
Absolutely.
That's interesting. That story was very interesting, I should say, because I was always linking the dreaming of teeth falling out to perhaps a bad omen or a premonition. Like you guys said, everyone has their own interpretations. It's very interesting.
Well, that could fall into premonition because had she not gone, and that was the only advice I said, when's the last time you were at the dentist?
Right.
And I mean, just look at the obvious first, right? Before you get into the woo. And she's like, it's been a minute, And so had she ignored that, she had receding gums, she had just a mess going on that took a while to straighten out because she didn't eat the best,
Right.
whatever led to all that. But she would have lost teeth. And so it could have been, I mean, I perceive that as a premonition for sure.
Right. Yeah, sure. I can see that too. And I want to, I don't know at what point, I'm jumping all over the place. I know, and I apologize. Like I said, I'm just
Those
glad.
are the best kind of shows, Dave.
I'm so glad we just, we finally got on the air and, everyone's having a good time in the chat and everything. So thank you very much, everyone.
Hey, hello in the chat. I'm not in there, by the way.
Co-fans
and
in there.
We were talking about teeth dreams when you brought it up. So,
right. Yeah.
Kind of interesting synchro right there.
And also I wanted to mention to everyone out there, I don't know if I brought it up to Jerry, and I don't know about you, Nish, but we do have a phone line if people want to call in a little bit later and maybe talk, say hi, or see what you guys have to say about whatever they got to talk about.
On this note and in this vein, I can't get enough dream material. I live for it. I love it. I want to hear more. The more I hear, the more it's reminding me of how in tune so many people are with things that are going on. And this is the bigger picture here, with things that are actually going on in the unconscious, which then we can start to, get into that territory. Are we in the undertow? Are we creating events that we're not even really consciously feeding? And are
Are we
we
creating empowering alternate realities?
yes, and this is the stuff Jerry and I love this stuff. So yeah, I mean, this we love what we do. This is for sure.
Oh yeah, I'll bet. And let's talk a little bit about the evolution of the show, or how did it begin? Was this your idea, Nish, or both you and Jerry's, or how did this happen?
Well, it started out with me coming to Jerry with this idea, and then it's turned into it's our baby together.
Mm-hmm.
And so it morphed. It's morphed. It's like it's kind of growing up, right,
It's
Jerry?
evolved. It has
Yeah.
evolved. That's a way better to put it. When we first started, we were only doing an hour on the live stream, and then we recorded the rest of the conversation offline, and gave me a chance to edit it and put it out as a second podcast. Because I saw a lot of people were putting out 1 hour podcasts, and I know attention spans are short. So, and these conversations can get pretty boring. I mean, I've spaced out many times. Anyway, that was a real pain in the ass to do that. And we lost one good conversation. I'm like, fuck it, I'm not doing this anymore. And I said, we're going to do it this way tonight. I think, is it okay? And she's like, sure. So, and it was with Ren Collier, I think was our first one that we kind of
that was a
merged
great show.
the two shows together. And now I'm steering it away from that format even now to pull in more discussion with the guest about the shit they know about. Like,
Yeah.
I want to hear more about what they've researched and what they've worked on and stuff like that too. So whenever there's a chance for me to ask about something like that, I'm trying to think of a good example. I can't come up with one right now, but whenever I find that chance to go in there and ask, I definitely do.
Yeah, we're weaving it in, and it's constantly. I think Jerry and I would both get terribly bored if we had followed a general outline. Like, oh my god,
we have. That's why it's evolving, because we're bored with that was fun. Now I want. There's a deeper story here, sort of, that we both wanted to do more of an in-depth podcast, which we still may do, but differently. Excuse me. But like one of the first things we talked about doing was a podcast called Balls Deep, and we were just going to ball
catchy.
That was Jerry. I love it so much.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, and we were going to do it, and then I came up with a better idea, which is more like Nox Mente, but closer to Balls Deep. And segmented.
And Jerry named it. I mean, Jerry like put this shit together. Like, it didn't have a name. I'm like, let's do a dream show. And then next thing I know, Jerry had it together.
I had the website up. I had the logo. I'm a geek like that.
Yeah, so I know. You're really quick when you do that.
It was with Rasmus that I wanted to talk more about his experiences with spirits and stuff in the real world and not have to do with dreams. So there were a few times when I asked questions about that. Not as many.
Also, Jerry, what's great is with all of this crazy, the algorithms lately that are censoring a lot of people, it allows us to kind of fly under the radar too, since we do indeed talk dreams, but
we never got above the radar.
Yes, above. So we're weaving it into all the other stuff.
I don't think we're really subject to their censorship, if that even is real, because we're not monetized. So that's what they care about, is losing advertisers. Interesting. It's always centered around your monetization.
I've noticed that, I don't know if you guys noticed or not on your shows, but I'll look at one of my videos and I'll notice that they put like a Encyclopedia Britannica or or rational wiki definition of, let's say I had a show about chemtrails.
Yes.
And then they'll have their definition and, oh, well, chemtrails are really this and that. And
Yeah.
it's like, wow, what are you doing to my channel?
That's what everyone's talking about. I had that in one of my music videos on my private channel, Triad Claw. It came in with like the Mason stuff, and they finally took it away when it's like I didn't do anything. It finally went away, but that's what they're talking about. They're trying to get at this idea of what's fake news and what's not acceptable, because the reality is we're under this crazy censorship wall right now. There's a firewall that's happening.
But it's a liberal firewall.
It doesn't matter. It's still a firewall of we're being censored, and there's a direction that the collective's taking right now, and if you're not moving in that direction, that kind of stuff's happening.
Yeah, and a lot of that fake news just started. I just started hearing that term like a couple of years ago, especially when the whole presidency or the election with Trump and Hillary.
Trump kind of coined the hashtag, if you will.
It's funny that he did that, but then yet the mainstream media kind of turned it around on him.
Yeah, well, they do that about everything with him.
Yeah,
even if it's something good, they'll turn it around and find the negatives. But that's besides the point. Yeah, but the censorship issue right now is in tech and in social media, and you have to look at the companies and the employees who are building these systems to do this. So they've taken up a political ideology and programmed it pretty much, or they're doing it by hand. I don't know.
Now, don't you guys talk about some of these topics on the show?
Not really.
Not unless it weaves in an interesting way. Yeah. But not generally. It just depends on who. I mean, that's what's great about our show too, is, and anyone that does guests like yours. I mean, every guest brings their own stuff and something new. So just by nature of that, each show's different.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I love doing this, and I love talking to people and meeting people. It's been an amazing ride. I'm glad that you guys are doing this as well. So we were probably going to take a break here in a couple of minutes, and I'm trying to see what's your name. Oh, Nish, this is for you.
I wanted to say something. If you want a good example of what's going on censorship wise across the tech platforms, watch that Joe Rogan interview with Jack Dorsey and Tim Pool, and you'll understand.
Okay.
Because it was really clear what they're banning, what they're not banning, what's pissing them off. They kicked a woman off of Twitter. They banned her because she stated a man is not a woman. That was her statement, the tweet, and she got kicked off.
A man is not a woman, and she got kicked off for that?
Because it was the context of the conversation. Because she was arguing with a transsexual person.
Oh.
See, this is what's dangerous, is
it's a slippery slope, an oily incline.
It isn't. Thank you. It's way better, Jared. We need to be very cautious with it. I feel I've always felt this way. If you don't like something, and there's still freedom and freedom of choice in your own movements and what you listen to and what you expose yourself to, turn away. Because when we start telling people what language they can and cannot use, that's very dangerous. You should be able to hate, don't hurt. If you fucking come at me with a knife, this is a different situation, but you can hate me all day long. You can gut me any which way except for physically.
Right.
And I will respect your right to do that. I'm not going to listen to it. And I may give you some pleasant words in response if I choose to. But this idea of being this butt-hurtedness, that's a word I'm just throwing together, is so funny.
There's been a lot of that.
Well, people, they
Too
participate in these
much.
conversations, they're participating in it. And there's a lot to be said about just ignoring or moving on. The idea of controlling others is really foul.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I support your free speech. I support your right to hate. Hate on. Hate on.
Yeah, yeah, on me too. I mean, whatever, it's like everybody deserves to be able to be heard, and yeah, of course you don't want it to be abusive or, whatever, but nobody should not have that right to be able to say what's on their mind or whatever. That's just my opinion. Again, really quick though, what I want to do is take this question and then we're going to go to a quick break.
Okay.
And Jerry's go ahead and let you take this one, Nish. And this comes from Mama Joe, Buffalo Woman, in the chat.
Oh, I love that name.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. What's your take on dreaming you died and awake to peeing in bed?
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's very interesting. So
Yeah, the conversation's going on in the chat, but yes, go ahead. Please take
what's
that
my
question.
take on that?
Mhm.
Dreaming you died is very, I don't encounter a lot of people that actually dream they died. So I don't even know where to go with that. But with that in conjunction with then you've peed the bed. I don't know. I don't know what to say. See, I don't interpret dreams.
Right.
It's like so out of context for me. What else was going on in the dream? What else is happening there? I have certainly, the bedwetting dreams I've had in the past, okay, there are two kinds. I was young and not making it out of bed, and then I've been in my 20s and stuff, I get too drunk. So in the dream, I'm always looking for a toilet or something, right? And so the fact that you died and then let go in the bed suggests something way deeper.
Mhm.
So because it's letting go of motor control.
Right.
And
That really happens.
yes, it's very fascinating. That just leads me into wanting to know what's the context of the rest of the dream. Is this possibly something that could be associated with past life stuff or a past memory of a death and reliving that? I mean, there's a lot of juice that we could squeeze out of this.
Right.
Not to run that pun into the ground, but my mind immediately goes into that direction, that it could possibly be a past life memory that one's having happen and reliving it, and it plays out physically like that. You let go, and in that letting go, there's something about the purification aspect too, the releasing of one's waters.
Mm-hmm.
It's an alchemical ritual in your pants.
Totally.
There you go.
So, but I mean, I would definitely need more context to give a better answer on that. It's
Right. Yeah, no, that is definitely interesting. And I'm with you on that one too, Nish. Is I've had way too many times where I have had maybe one too many beers or something, and I pass out. And
yeah.
and in my dream, I'm looking for, I gotta go. But luckily, I do make it in time. Thank goodness. So
thank God, Dave.
I hate that.
I've had that so many times. What's terrible is that moment when you're like, oh, this feels so good. You're dreaming, it's like, and then that warm sensation, and you're like, oh shit.
Oh no.
Oh, my bed.
I'm sleeping. I forgot. And then you wake up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a suck. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, let's go ahead and take a quick break. And when we come back, we can open up the phone lines. You guys are okay with that?
Yeah, fine with it.
Right on. All right.
Don't you all call it once now?
Right. Well, I won't let them, whatever. But this is Beyond the Strange. I am your host, Dave Cruz, and we are speaking with Jerry, Cthulhu, and Niish from Nox Mente. So don't go away. We'll be right back right after this.
Play some more.
Oh, dude, that'd be awesome.
I'm getting take a minute. I'll be back.
All right.
Hey, this is Deb, and you're listening to Dave Cruz on Beyond the Strange Radio.
I warn you, this could scare you, as the sound bothers me to listen to. It has always haunted me. What you're about to hear is very disturbing indeed. I've seen the Martians eat.
What in heaven's name is it?
I don't know.
Have you ever looked skyward and pondered UFOs, aliens, time travel, alternate universes, and parallel dimensions? Want to explore paranormal activities, ghost hauntings, various cryptoids, such as Bigfoot, sea and lake monsters? Greetings, Beyonders. I'm author Casper Parks, and you are listening to Beyond the Strange with host Dave Cruz. Help spread the word by posting links in forums and social media. Available at Speaker.com, YouTube, and Google Hangouts.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Beyond the Strange. I am your host, Dave Cruz. Thank you all for being here tonight. We are speaking with Jerry Cthulhu and Niish of Nox Mente, which is on YouTube every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern, or 9 o'clock Eastern.
It's 6 o'clock Pacific, because I'm in the West.
Okay, gotcha. As am I. So I go by Pacific all the time.
Where are you?
I'm over here in the Napa Valley area.
Okay, California.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm up in Washington.
Oh, okay, cool. Yep, I got my peeps in Washington. Shout out to y'all. All good. But yeah, it's been really cold out here.
Tell me about it. I'm in like so many layers. I can't believe the weather.
I am not used to it.
Well, this is how we even open the show. Is this stuff's crazy? It's undeniably, not normal. And I hate to use normal I hate to use normal as the context for saying that with weather. However, it's in the last 100 years, things, we're breaking these big records. And so I understand in long geologic terms, changing weather is nothing. It's, it just happens. But to have these crazy tornadoes, to have flooding and snowstorms in the Middle East, I mean, to these unbelievable wet and cold winters for places that don't have them, and then hot and dry in other places, and tornadoes and these monster storms that seem to be hitting everywhere. What the fuck is going on? Oh, I can't swear on the show, can I?
It's YouTube. It's fine.
It's too late now.
It's no problem.
My personal theory is the Earth is tilting.
I'm used to our show where we can just lay it out.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean,
Whose show was I not allowed to swear on? That was Joe Roop's.
oh,
Yeah, because he's like on legit radio.
He's legit radio.
he is so legit radio.
Yes, I love Joe. Joe's awesome.
Freaking Joe.
And Jerry and I are both sailor mouth. It's hilarious.
That's all good, man.
Only when, yeah,
only when
nothing.
he's not going to finish that sentence. But yeah, no, that's.
What is one? Especially when we can't.
There
right,
you go.
Rebel Gene.
Yeah.
Raise the bar. When it can't happen, that's when Jerry comes out and say, "Yes, it can."
Everything can.
Yeah, but no, it's all good. And I've noticed that trend. Jerry would probably agree with me. I believe these are cycles that happen on our planet. You know that there is no such thing as climate change, but yes, yet there is climate change. If that makes any sense.
And we're definitely in a period of some major upheaval on that front. And so for people to just kind of, I'm encountering people that just shut it down strangely, all of it. And it's, if you look at if you look at events around the world right now, as far as weather, in just this last 12 months, it's a lot of very severe events going on in a short period of time. And so I think that if we're taking this in context to, say, a dream,
Mm-hmm.
you would take note. This would make your dream stranger, and you would say, whoa, these are strange events, and you would remember them when you woke up, most likely. And so why can't we take that kind of idea of the dreamscape and bring it into our daily lives and start looking at, I mean, this is what I propose, start looking at the things that stick out and seem odd and giving them a little bit of attention, looking at them, observing them.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't know. I really don't know what's going on, Nish. It's just been really crazy lately.
Well, what do you, I know I'm turning the tables here, but what is your idea on this whole interdimensionality of, say, other beings?
As far as,
Or say, like, interdimensional beings, like, so ETs or whatever, interdimensional realities.
Aliens. What do you think of aliens?
I mean, yeah, no, I mean, I know I'm so used to aliens. No, I mean, I've associated them with being interdimensional as well. And I feel everything is, I don't want to be generic, but or vague, but I think everything is intertwined. It's connected.
Everything is demons.
Demons or aliens or ghosts. I mean,
I'm kidding.
No, I think so. I really think that, I mean, you hear it a lot that a lot of grays were described as demons.
Right.
You know,
A lot of demons look like grays.
Vice versa. Look at what with that picture that Crowley does. You know, with what's his Lamb. Yeah,
I was.
So you know, I don't know if you know, a lot of people out there know about that picture or not. But there's a picture of this. Was he saying it was a demon or just a being named Lamb?
The entity he contacted.
Right, but if you look closer at the picture, you can actually see the face and like a head of a gray alien with the big black eyes.
Right, but Lamb's got tiny little beady eyes.
Right, exactly.
Like a demon.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the shading looks like the gray. That's what I was trying to refer to.
Crowley was a shitty artist.
But no matter what,
it doesn't matter. My point is, it doesn't matter. It's an entity.
Right. It's other. It's other. It's not. It's clearly not us.
Mm-hmm.
And so it fits in that other realm where other things are somehow really truly existing, whether you want to throw, however you want to wrap them. Is it fae? Is it an ET? I mean, it's just the otherness that comes into play. And this is juicy stuff that say, Jung gets into the other kind of stuff, and all this stuff is, it's happening. People are having real experiences. They're visceral and they're real, and it's dealing with the otherness. So is it, people want to say, well, this is all your content, your own unconscious content. Well, in really at the heart of anything kind of metaphysical, everything in the outer world is really just a reflection of your inner world. You're only dealing with yourself. And yet we're all doing this at the same time. We're all having this. So we're dreaming together, yet we're dreaming separately. There's this weird separateness and yet connectedness. So there are paradigms here that kind of collide in a way where they're contradictory. And this is where you see a lot of strife happening with people,
Right.
and because of the conviction in which is natural to hold. I had this experience is real for me, and then someone else comes at it from a different angle, and we all have our own slant, and that's where the collision
That was racist.
I know.
It was racist.
Anything you say right now is racist. I just saw something about the air being racist.
Oh
or
my
something.
gosh.
Yeah, I mean,
Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss is racist now.
Dr. Seuss.
For real, I'm serious. Did I say it?
Wow.
Oh my goodness. And that, but that also, that whole thing with racism just intrigues me, because how deeply do we need to identify with our skin?
Mm-hmm.
Like, really, what is more surface level? What is the most surface level thing we can do or be talking about is our skin color. It's literally skin deep. I mean, it's just fucking ridiculous. Oh, sorry.
Don't worry about it. It's all fucking good.
It's just ridiculous but look at that. This is all being, and so looking at this just objectively, this is steered content. This, I don't think most people actually are the people that are into it, but I think that they're being steered. They're being herded into these narratives and into these types of coercive. There's something that just seems engineered about all that stuff that's going on right now.
I look at it a different way. That
Lay
there's
down,
a lot.
Jer.
It's extreme FOMO. It really is. The fear of missing out. People don't want to miss out. They want to be in the right group. They want to be the people who are going to ascend, quote unquote, or go to 5D. They don't want to be on the losing end. So that's why there's this driving need to team up. I don't know what you want to call it. To sort.
And yeah, and that's the weird for me. I hear that, and it's so strange because, first of all, I'm just a very private person. I'm also a loner. I've always been a loner. I've never been a group person. This is what's allowed me to float from group to group. I've always been that person that I have friends just kind of everywhere and in weird places. And so just like things I listen to, my musical taste is so vast. The stuff I'll listen to on YouTube is so vast that it's strange for me to understand that, because in the end, when I close my eyes, I'm going into an inner world that is uniquely mine, and I'm dealing with my content, and then that is a portal into something else, and that's a whole different little avenue. And then coming into this life was a very personal experience that really just involved my mother and I.
Mm-hmm.
And then going out is also a very singular experience. And so this idea of how how everything needs to herd together. Like, for example, one of my my herd of chickens and ducks and geese has gotten down to one duck as of today. One of my wolves somehow,
I'm sorry to hear that.
oh, it's quite sad. They were, I've had her since she was a bit, I raised them. But so she was 6, and I was just down to these last 2, and it's just fine because they need others, ducks and geese especially. And so I'm like, they're just fine. They've been together. And then somehow my wolf, one of my wolves, Lucy,
Hmm.
coaxed one out and killed her, and and that's sad. I'm upset about it. At the same time, I realized the need for the duck that's left, Pick. She is clearly upset, and she's, it's gonna be her first night ever being alone, and they don't know how to be alone. And so I understand how this is somehow in part of some animals where they are pack animals. And so I try to relate to that. I try to find my way into that with humans as well. It's I don't even know where I'm going with that. In context to, in the end, Kiwi had to die alone, right?
Right.
Even though she's a herd animal or, a pack animal, she still had to face that experience on her own.
Yeah, that's really sad. I mean,
Well, but that's just a natural cycle. So
I
I will
know.
have to die alone, and I can't. There's no one's going to be there holding my hand through the process that we know of, right? It's still so. In the end, you take the last step on your own, and there's nothing you can do about that. That's just how it goes.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. That's and in a way, that's what I was fearing with my auntie. Is that I need to see her before something happens. And when I felt that, it was weird. I felt that we really needed to be there, because if something happened to her, I mean, not only would I feel shitty, I don't know if that's, being selfish or not, because I didn't want her to not know that, hey, I love her, and I don't want it to happen to her, and blah blah blah. If she died, she would never know. So,
Yeah.
don't you know? You got to know that I have these feelings before you go. You can't leave before I tell you. But yeah, she's going through this. Luckily, she's doing great, or she's doing a lot better. But yeah, I mean, we are gonna go through that process after we die. It's we're on our own after we leave this plane, I guess.
Well, I don't know, Dave. I don't know what happens once we move through the membrane, but moving through the membrane is definitely a solitary experience. I
Mhm.
can say, having been around lots of people passing, is that it's a very magical experience. And I think every time I've thought of it as a gift to be part of it. And because the more we see others doing something that we're inevitably going to do, the more we can put that on ourselves, the more it makes it possible. It is possible to die. Like some people can't talk about this. Some people can't see themselves dying. They don't see it, or they don't want to. And so, and especially in the society in which we are inhabiting, it's so detached. I mean, there's a fear of old people, like some of these young generation XYZ, I guess, the Z generation.
They are called the Z generation now. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's actual groups out there where they're afraid of old people and dying. And so, I mean, a lot of people are afraid of death. Don't get me wrong. I think in the end, we're all a little afraid
Oh, of
because
course.
we don't know what's going on. But there's something very sacred about it. And the idea of dying with your loved ones around you is a beautiful thing. I mean, I hope everyone can have that.
Dave, can I ask you a question?
I want to try to get to this phone call thing. This phone.
Yeah.
call
Wait.
thing.
Are you running 2 Zooms?
The meeting we're in right now is 6871
544. Right.
Yeah,
you're
but
giving out the wrong meeting ID.
Well, because the reason why I keep saying that it's the other one, I have the in this pro here. I'm gonna go ahead and I have the screen on something else, but I'm gonna share this real quick so you can see what I'm talking about here. Where's it at? Blah blah blah.
I'm telling people, no, Dave's wrong. That's not the meeting ID.
It's okay. Hang on, let me see. Can you see this,
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what I have. I don't have the app on my computer. This is actually the web version. But this is the meeting I thought that's going on right now. This one right here.
It's not.
Okay. So
631 works. Yeah. Right. The 746 was the first meeting you sent out. It doesn't matter.
well,
You should have. Jacob, did you get to call in? Oh, I'm going to try it right now.
yeah, try that. Go ahead and try that that number. It should be the 1720-707-26. No, it's not.
No, it's 646.
Oh, because you're in New York. Well, East Coast.
Jerry's. Oh, wait, who's on? Who? The Jacob or Jerry?
Who's on first?
Whoever's okay.
I know. What the hell is
If you're
going
on the East Coast, it's a different number. It's 646-558-8656. If you're on the West Coast, it is 1720-707-2699. I don't know. It worked last week. I had people calling in. It was great.
No one ever calls into our show. Jerry has us a number and everything.
That's weird. Because right now, I mean, I should see under participants. Ugh, I can't even talk.
I know I did it earlier.
Participants.
Okay, Dave. Look at the participants window.
Yeah.
See how there's 4 people?
Yes. There's 3 people.
There's 4 people. Someone's on hold. I'm not the host. I can't see the hold page.
You know what? And I can't make you the a host either for some reason.
Co-host.
I tried.
Try it again.
This is so.
This is live. This
Yeah.
is how live goes.
I know, right? This is funny. Jer.
Yeah.
When I click on the corner, the little 3 white dots in the blue box.
Yeah.
It
Just
doesn't
right click on my image.
avatar, right?
Whatever.
All I get is chat or hide non-video participants.
Huh?
Hmm.
I don't know.
I mean, I could start a new meeting, I guess.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, because it'll mess up the stream. All right, let's not do that then.
Let's just bring on people. You have the ability to do that.
It must be in your settings.
It was working fine.
Which I know you don't want to go into. I'm just saying. I vaguely recall there's a setting that you have to change. I don't remember now. To allow to have a waiting. It's a waiting room setting. That's what it is. I'll find it.
Yeah, because I see in here. Oh, this is the chat, so this is different. Anyways. Yeah, I don't. That's so weird. In my participants, I see 3. Why do I keep getting muted? I don't understand that.
Okay, that was weird. Yeah, I'm like, what is going on?
Okay. Anyways,
So if you go to the Zoom
Somebody's
site, if you go to the
texting
Zoom
me.
website, and on the My Meeting settings, just search for waiting room, and you'll see it. Turn it on.
okay. Well, okay.
But
So
you don't want to do it now, and that has other ramifications, which you might want to consider.
while I'm doing this, I don't know. Have you guys ever watched Inception?
Yes, many times.
Yes, indeed.
Have any of you had a dream like that, where you dream that you're dreaming that you're dreaming?
Jerry?
No, I've never done that. I just know. I just thought I saw. Go ahead and answer. I'll shut up.
I have, and in fact, just this week, I've been working. My goal right now is to do OBEs more at will instead of having them randomly happen. They're always wonderful when they do, but they've been random and like, I don't know. I'm really focused on, I'm going to have an OBE this night or, in the morning when I wake, the whole cycle thing. And so this week I had one, but it was within the OBE or the phase experience where I kept waking up, and it was several times. So it was fascinating. So I didn't know at the end when I finally woke up if I was OBE there. The thing for me with OBEs though is if I slow down too long, then I wake up. But I had kept doing that. So yeah, just this week, timely enough.
See, and that's bizarre because what happened with me, I'm going to tell you what happened with me real quick, Nish. And this is...
Are we all muted?
No, we shouldn't be.
I was waiting for Dave.
I don't know why I keep getting muted. It's weird. This is really...
It's Mercury retrograde.
You must have hit something while you were right clicking.
This is really... must have hit
like
something.
My mom. I don't know what I did. I made 6 clicks and then...
I had a hard time getting in this
Super weird. Really bizarre.
Yeah, I know you guys can hear us.
They're
we
secret prison.
speak like this anywhere we are, Jerry and I.
No. What's going on is that people have called into the show and they're in a waiting room.
It happened to me last week. I mean, I was able to do it last week, and I have no clue why it's not working right now. This is really, really...
Is there an arrow next to your participant? I don't know where the hell it is. Oh, it's in chat. No.
Okay, I'm closing the chat. Closing my chat. How do I close the chat?
On YouTube?
It's in the participant.
On the Zoom. Okay, close. All right, so participants. All right, now I see the participants window, and that's only 3 of us are in there right now.
And there's no menu or anything you can click?
Just says mute me, raise hand, and reclaim host.
Reclaim host. That's what's
there they are. There's people waiting.
That's why you couldn't give away the host.
Hello, people.
Wow, yeah. Hey, guys.
Reclaim host. Hey. Please turn off your radio.
Yeah, turn down your radio, please. Turn down your volume.
There.
Hello.
Who do we have?
All right, now I'm getting an echo.
Your radio, please. Turn down your volume.
All right, I got an idea.
Hello, Nate.
Hello.
Hello, Jerry.
Hello, Jacob. How you doing?
It's Nate Doge ecstasy, foo.
There's like a cackling Niish loop going on.
I know, right?
I wasn't prepared too. At least
this is not this is a conversation. This was a call in with a question.
I know, right?
Dave, be the good host.
I hear myself echoing across somebody.
Yeah, somebody has their speaker on. They're going to have to turn it down.
I think it's Nate if he's there.
It's actually, I have my headphones in, so it's not me.
Yeah, somebody has their speaker.
Okay, it's probably me. Let me hook up some headphones real quick.
It's actually, I have my headphones, so it's not me.
So we have Nate on the phone line. Welcome to the show, Nate.
Okay.
Hey, Dave, how are you?
I'm doing good, considering everything that's happening right now with the show. It's all good.
Oh, it's just Mercury retrograde, that's all. No big deal.
I love how we can just blame Mercury for that.
I told someone it was Mercury retrograde, and all this shit started happening to me. The last couple, I refused to acknowledge the retrograde and call it the Gatorade. Nothing's ever happened. This time I said it once, boom.
Well, it's an occupational hazard for people like us,
So, Nate, do you have a question for Niish or Jerry, or did you want to share something?
First, I really like your waiting music there between. It reminds me of Porcupine Tree, which is one of my favorite bands.
This wasn't my choice.
I love Porcupine Tree.
And I have 2. Since there's a Jish. Now that's your baby's name, Jish. So Mercury retrograde abound. I do have 2 questions, and the first one, I'll ask them first, and then just kind of listen. The two questions are for both Jerry and Nish or Jish. Do you guys have, or have you ever had any, not apocalypse, but have you ever had any Armageddon dreams? And the second question is, what do you think of the notion that in the idea of how we have the mystery of the Trinity, which is the spirit and then the incarnatory soul and the evolutionary soul? What do you make of the evolutionary soul that's immortal, that, you know, goes back to the higher realms after we die with life lessons? That being the subconscious aspect and maybe the dream aspect, whereas the incarnationary soul would be more of the egoic or the incarnational. Those are the two questions. I'm able to repeat them at any time.
Guys?
Jer, it's all you.
I've had a couple dreams with like alien invasion, end of the world feel to them, but I've never been to that Mad Max world that follows.
And ask this the second question, Jer.
What was the second question?
He's gonna have to repeat that one. That one was long.
I was thinking about the first one.
Well, what about Nish? Have you had any Armageddon dreams?
Yes, definitely. I had my first crazy Armageddon-ish dream maybe a decade ago, and when I lived in Minnesota, and it has been slowly playing out. Like the little tidbits of it have slowly been happening with the crazy weather. This is in the same period of time that I had this dream that ended up when the same time I found out all this research, I find out that Stephen King was writing the book Cell. I didn't know this at the time because he was writing it, and I had this crazy dream. I woke up, I told everyone. I've been everywhere talking about that dream, so I'm not going to reiterate it here, but it was funny because he's writing the book Cell. I'm having the same dream. It's in the collective, obviously, and it's kind of Armageddon-ish. If you see the movie Cell or read the book, and it's pretty much. I felt like when I saw the film, I was utterly shocked. I felt like he'd pulled whoever. I even had to look. I didn't even know it was a Stephen King book. I felt like it was almost taken right verbatim out of my dream, and so. It still shakes me. And so I researched and found out it was a Stephen King novel, that he was writing it the year I had it. And so it's changed my idea of how we tap into the collective like that. And I definitely see how he gets he's tapping into the collective with what he gets, this information. It's just coming, it can come through you if you open it up. And so, yeah, to answer your question, yes. And since then, I've had many, many more that are Armageddon-esque. You know, they're never.
These are 5G premonitions.
That was right, Jerry. There's a lot of stuff that's tied into all that.
Yeah, 5G is no joke.
It was a pulse. Anyone that was on their phone got pulsed with this, and I wasn't. And then the police we got like separated, and I mean it's like verbatim this damn movie. And so that's why I was so shocked. I couldn't believe it. I really, and everyone I told at the time too, you know, because I talk about my dreams with my friends. It's a situation. And then I've had very strange in the last few years, kind of monstrous dreams that deal with kind of humans being very nasty, kind of zombie-like, but not really like movie zombie, but zombie-like, where there's a lot of wicked stuff going on in the world, and people are basically eating each other. And so I always took that as kind of allegory or symbolic. And you can see that in the collective now. People are eating each other. It's just not literal.
Soylent Green is people.
Yes.
A Cole fan, thank you for calling in. I'm sorry we got 2 other calls coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and go to Jacob. But love you on Twitter, buddy.
Don't sweat it. Oh, hey, thanks, man. Say hi sometime. I'd love to talk.
Absolutely.
And Jerry and Nish, thank you guys. This is
Thanks,
great.
Nate.
And
Thanks
good
for
night,
calling.
everyone.
Love you,
Bye,
buddy.
Nate.
Yeah.
We love
Love you guys.
Right on.
And hey, I actually don't really have a whole lot to say. I was just
Just want to hang out with you guys.
Jacob, you're
I'm gonna
awesome.
hang out with you guys. But well, really, I was just trying to help you I was trying to tech support it with you.
Oh, right on.
Help you.
Yeah, Jake could answer our questions.
Oh,
Yeah, you got any questions for me?
Just
Yeah, how do you route this cord into that? No, I'm just kidding, man.
No, I'm talking. He knows a lot about tarot.
Oh, I can tell you that too. But
masonry is one of your specialties.
I really do need to get into tarot.
No, it was Kabbalah you were talking about.
Kabbalah.
Lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff.
I heard something interesting too.
Not
about
masonry. Masonry isn't one of them because I'm not a mason.
So I was listening to this woman who's been researching Freemasonry in the U.S. and how it's grown and whatnot. And what she thinks she's found is that the Scottish Rite. So this all goes back to like the law of like common law and whatnot. In the Scottish Rite, it is a woman when married or whatever remains sovereign. You know, she keeps her property, et cetera, et cetera. In the York Rite, they don't have that, but they have adoption. Like when you adopt a kid, that's kind of a York Mason rite that they've brought into the law. And
Hey, really quick, I just want to say 416 and 916. You are in the room, so we'll get to you guys in a second.
I'll be done in a second. I was almost done. Now I have to start over.
Go ahead, Jerry. Start over.
Anyway,
from the beginning of the show, by the way, too.
It was real interesting. She basically
repeat everything you've said.
I will find the link if you guys can watch it. Basically, she was saying that the York Masons infiltrated and cooed the Scottish Rite, who were the founding fathers here. And this
I actually kind of do know a little bit about this, and that the Scottish Rite wasn't, at least officially, a thing until like 1836 or something like that, I think. So
yeah, it was like a splinter group, and but it was.
Well, no, I'm saying like in 1776, neither one of them was a thing. Like
right, but their beliefs kind of grew into, or they mated well with Scottish Rite Masonry. She didn't talk about that. She just talked about what they were. I don't know. It was interesting. I'll find the link.
Yeah, and I can only tell you official history, the little bit of it I know, because like I said, I'm not a Masonic.
All of this she was reading out of a book.
Well, thanks, Jacob. Appreciate you stopping by, and really appreciate your knowledge on tarot subject. Definitely got to have you back on. I don't do tarot. I know a lot of these guys do, but I will probably slowly get into it. So thank you very much.
For sure.
Yeah, have a good night.
I'll get out of your hair here.
All right, brother. Take care. Thank you.
Bye, Jacob.
Bye, Jacob.
Bye.
916.
I'm waving goodbye.
Who is this? You're
916. This is the Martian. How are you guys? Yeah.
Oh, yay.
How you doing, Martian?
I am doing excellent. How are you guys?
We're doing great. Doing awesome. Having a great show tonight, and I'm glad the phone lines are finally working.
I loved you on the Hive last week. It was so good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Do you have a question for Nish or Jerry?
No, I was just calling in because I thought everybody was in there, and I just jumped into the show. So what are we talking about?
Oh, it's just all about Jerry and Nish tonight, and their show and dreams and all that stuff.
Oh, interesting. Hey, so one thing that I would like to bring up is on the dream thing. So as there's kind of a Discord group going on, and we're talking to each other about all our dreams and everything like that. And so I'm wondering if we are dreaming parts of other people's timeline, right? And so maybe we have precognitive dreams of ourselves, but we only notice them in certain times, right? But what if the remainder of the dreams, or at least some part of the remainder, is actually part of somebody else's timeline? I think that's kind of an interesting concept. And so it came up because I was like, well, what if someone just animates these and throws them on the internet and they get some wide press and everyone's like, hey, that happened to me around that time. So I think it'd be an interesting kind of correlation.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I find that fascinating. What do you guys think?
That's cool.
Yeah.
I would love to see tech get easier so that we could with ease and like type in and animate, have some program that would animate what we're typing in to recreate dreams in particular. I think that could be really fun and also very fruitful. Plus, I also notice the more we talk about dreams, the more we become aware of them, and it's good. And we start honing into other people's energetics. This is one of the things that was with intention with Nox Mente, and certainly with our server, the Nox Mente server, is to
the Discord.
Yeah, the Discord server is to kind of play off of that idea and see what can happen, what's possible. Of course, I think anything is.
Anything's possible.
It'd be very interesting.
I think that's pretty
What
cool.
I was thinking about, remember the conversation we were having on Saturday about how past lives would really be happening simultaneously if time was an illusion, right? So if what you're dreaming could be one of your simultaneous lives in the same way you were talking about it.
I think that's a definite possibility, right? And so, like we were talking about, once you get outside of the 3 dimensions that we normally exist in, it all gets really weird really quick. And so it gets hard to it gets hard to differentiate what's what.
And
so I think that's the great mystery, right?
Yeah, I think that this is why we should speak openly about these things and not worry about, and this is again one of the laurels of Nox Mente, is not let's be open and candid about our experiences and what we're observing, instead of worrying about this person and with that set of letters behind their name telling us what should be happening. This is where we need to find a sense of personal sovereignty to hold a bit of agency with our experience so that we can come at each other as peers and then start working the stuff out collectively. I do not need someone that is calling themselves an expert in something like dreaming to tell me what my experience is. Period, point blank. And so if I can be on the same ground as anyone else and everyone else, and I can have an experience and then come to the table of peers and talk about my experience with other people as a peer, maybe we can get somewhere with this, because I do think that dreaming there's a possibility that is a portal. I wholeheartedly think it's a portal to other consciousness.
Definitely.
I would
agree with that.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that in a couple of key ways. I think dreaming and sleep have a lot to teach us. That's really where the secret kind of lies, right? So traditionally, if you look at it, you have the 3 states of consciousness. You have the waking, the dreaming, and then the dreamless sleep, the real beyond.
Yes.
And then there's also the moment of transition between the states. And primarily for us, that's the actual transition between waking and dreaming. And that's the kind of gulf that the secret's locked in, you know? So I think the dreaming is important for that. And then also I think there's a lot of different kinds of dreams that people can have. There's messages, there's subconscious stuff, there's you replaying things. And there's things that you should share because they're kind of coming out of the subconscious. And then there's things that you shouldn't share because they're, coming from a different source that it would rob it of all its power if you told it to somebody else, and it wouldn't make sense anyway. So, I think there's a lot going on. I think there's a lot going on in the dreams, and I appreciate you guys putting together that Discord. But I got to hop off. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thank you, Martian. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right,
Bye-bye.
you too. Have a good night.
All right, bye-bye.
Kisses and licks, buddy.
416. How are you doing tonight? You're on with Nish and Jerry.
Hello?
Hello. Is this Mama Joe?
Can see her
Yes,
number.
it is.
Hello, Mama Joe.
I'm just trying to figure out how to like pause this. Okay, there we go. So I just wanted to call in because I have like actually a few different topics that are really strange when it comes to dreams.
Oh,
trying to figure like, do I talk about the control dream that I had and alien encounters, or do I talk about the death dream? I don't know.
Oh, let's do the alien ones.
Okay, perfect. I think for the last like 15, 20 years, I've had these weird dreams of aliens, but only in the last like 2 years, they've gotten so surreal that I can talk about at least the last one was like 2 months ago, where I was very aware and conscious during the dream. And I knew I was dreaming while I was in the dream, which was really crazy. So, the dream probably lasted like 10 minutes, but when I awoke, I was excited because I was like, oh my God, I was totally aware. Like I knew I was in this dream state or what I thought was. So I always wondered, like, was that actually a dream or was that actually happening?
Well,
right?
It's all states of lucidity, even this experience of waking life. And so if you're aware that you're dreaming, you're lucid in the dream and possibly in the phase of OBE, as long if you're inhabiting it with full consciousness and able to move around, this is you could have
lucid dreaming.
It's full on lucid dreaming, but it's possible that you were also having an OBE as long as you weren't aware that you were sleeping. At this, there's like a weird divide line there.
Yeah, that's actually kind of what I'm trying to figure out because like in the dream with the alien itself, like I knew what my title was. I knew what I was supposed to be doing. There were things that I was actually physically given tasks to do while I was in this alien craft. And I was dealing with subhuman species. And I'm talking to my superior and like this lasted like 10 minutes, but there was so much going on. And I remember making decisions and stuff in the dream and knowing like I had to complete this task. And I remember as I'm doing the task, I'm aware that I'm doing it. And I'm thinking to myself, this is a dream. This is a dream. And when I woke up, like I was actually holding on to my arm and I was like, I don't know, like, was that something I did in the dream to kind of keep me awake or I don't know. But I think this kind of bleeds into also like the death dream that I've had. I've always had death dreams, but I mean, the one that was recent where I couldn't tell was I having an out-of-body experience because during the dream, I was aware I was sharing my body with another soul being and I was experiencing their death. Right. So with these two different types of dreams, I've always wondered, like, was it actually a dream or was it out-of-body experience or, is it lucid dreaming? Like, what do you call that?
That's a lot.
Well,
I know. That's why I said, like, there's lots we can talk about, but I know we're crunched for time, but I was just like, what are your thoughts?
I want to turn you on to someone I follow on YouTube. You should join our Discord for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would love that.
If
I mean, I have tons of experiences. I've actually woken up with markings on my chin, on my body. I just recently shared that with a friend from when I had a dream, and I woke and I had this triangular marking under my chin. And like, there's nothing that should be marking it.
You should get it pierced or something. Tell those aliens, fuck you.
Like, I'm just,
seriously.
But you know what? I'm
sorry.
Well, two of the alien beings that I've interacted with, I'm not afraid of. Like, they don't scare me, but there is one that scares the bejesus out of me. I'm like, I hate to have to go and visit that. If they're dreams, like it's, I don't know.
What did
Sounds
it
crazy
look like?
when I say it out loud, but
what did the scary one look like?
Reptilian.
But I know it sounds like, yeah, it looked like, first of all, it was only like 2-3 people. They knew there were taller beings that it belonged to, but there were different subspecies that were in one clan. So it's like there are 3 different types of this one race of species. They're all kind of reptilian, but the smaller ones look more goblin kind of like. Mm-hmm. And this is the one that kept hurting me, pinching me, was putting things on the top of my skull and causing me, I could actually feel them moving around between the skin and my skull cap. And it was painful, and they didn't care. They didn't care that it hurt. But they were very interested in me because they're like, well, you know, from the way you view Earth is different than most. Which scared the crap out of me.
I find this imagery of the goblin is very, very intriguing for me because the historical stuff with these others that were to earlier minds, all of it was kind of goblins or fairies, and then it's kind of morphed in, and now so I want to keep that imagery, and then I want to ask you about the death one, the other being that was sharing your body. Can you tell me about that being?
Okay. I know this is going to sound completely crazy. Well, so
we do crazy.
I'm a medium.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just so you know, like I am a physical medium. I'm an evidential medium. Like I work with spirit. That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be many times where I have dreams with spirit and I communicate with them, and I work with law enforcement. I've done various different things, but there are times where I'm visited with spirit and I realize like there's an alien that kind of intercedes between me and spirit. So I've always wondered, like, does aliens have to do with spirit work, and how does this work? And then how come I can feel a shifting within my body? Like, it's like someone saying, move over, and they're coming in, you know, and it's slightly different than when I'm working during the daytime. And I'm, you know, sometimes I'll channel. I don't do it very often, but, you know, this in itself, it's scary.
What's the move over from the alien or the ghost? Or the spirit?
The ghost is move over, but the alien is like, it's almost like they're reciprocating.
It's like connected, like
action.
It's almost like the alien's projecting the ghost.
Yeah, it's like the alien is reciprocating the interaction between me and this spirit, and they're facilitating my vessel as like, you have no choice. This is going to happen, and we have to allow this to happen for scientific study, for scientific purpose. So I've always wondered, like, are aliens and ghosts linked in somehow, or how does this work? Like, is it even a thing?
Go, Jerry.
I don't think ghosts are real. I think there's, okay, so, I mean, it could go a lot of different ways, but if it's true that there are alternate realities that are anchored here energetically, that are doing experiments on people, and these are the abductions, the greys, and the reptilians, and the insectoids, mantids, all that shit, those are alternate realities that are energetically tied to certain individuals here. And they keep that timeline pulled in here, called timeline. So yeah, you have interaction with them, and they are fucking with you. They're stealing shit from stealing your energy. They're taking your DNA. You need to get kicked out of the program. You need to become aware of what's going on and speak loudly about it. And they'll say, you're done, you're out. And you're no longer energetically connected to it. I think ghosts.
You want to hear something?
Wait. I think ghosts then are used to manipulate people by them.
I have another question about this.
Some ghosts. There might be real ghosts too.
So the alien that you say that is shared in the death dream, that was sharing your shell, your body, what did that one look like?
The goblin.
That one looked like a goblin also. So the ETs from the earlier one, where you're having the three different ETs, right?
Yeah.
And
we have the tall, slender ones, and then we have the goblin ones that belong to a sub, I guess, it's like a grouping. You know, it's one group of aliens that are reptilian, but it's almost like they have a lower species of themselves that is a mix of reptilian and goblin, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And
because this goblin, I remember, came to me when I was like 3, the first time I saw it, and he took his eyes out and put it on my chest.
Oh.
So that little thing has been with me off and on like my entire life, but I've never understood what it was.
Attachment?
I still kind of don't.
Attachment, maybe?
Well, I think this is safe to say this is about the time maybe I started really working with my abilities and, you know, playing with it when I was a kid, not aware of it until I hit, I guess, 12 is safe age to say. Like, people start telling me it's not normal, you know, but the thing that scares me is that the only ones that don't scare me are the tall ones. The tall ones they're very much almost like they're mothering you. They nurture you. But they're stern. They're strict, you know?
Are they tall grays or tall whites?
You know what? I would say they would be white, but I never get to see their face. They always wear a cloak, but they're very elongated. They're like 7-8 feet tall and very thin. Very, very thin.
The tall whites are the worst about the bunch.
Are they? Because they seem to be pretty nice to me so far.
Mama Joe, is anyone in the military in your family?
Not that I'm aware of. It's not that it is impossible. I'm not aware of it yet at this point.
It's like a MyLab thing, you're thinking, Nish?
Well, no, this is why I ask questions. I like to just get to what are the particular.
Why you? That's the question.
Well, that's what I asked. Why me? If this is actually happening, why me? But I will say this.
Through family too.
It is. I was just going to say, I have 4 children, and so far, the only one that's being affected as well. And she's woken up with markings ever since she was 5. And I remember having a very vivid experience with them coming into my room, and there was 5 of them, with my daughter, and she's now 15. The thing is I suffer from migraines for the last 3 years, and this came from one of my last dreams I had with them, a second last dream. And I went in to get MRIs and CT scans done, and both times I broke the machines. Like, they just stopped working and it was my turn. They couldn't get a picture. They couldn't do anything. And I had to reschedule, go back. And the joke is in my family, they're like, oh, they put something in your head. And I'm like, no. But then it brings me back to the dream where I felt him messing with my scalp. So I'm like, was that just, a physical thing that bled into a dream, or was it something that's actual? I don't know.
I hear it all the time, and and actually, we do have to get going here pretty soon, Mama Joe. Thank you for calling. I really appreciate it.
No worries.
I hear it all the time.
And please, when you get back to chat, mention me, and I'll give you the Discord link.
Yeah, you want to join the Nox Mente?
Mama Joe, please. I definitely want to hear more from you.
Okay. Dave, you can pass her my info for her to get a hold of me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You can find me in our server. I'm pretty active in there, and it's one-on-one. And you can DM me there.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And you know what? I'm like so floored. I love this show. Like, I'm on here all the time, and I'm like, oh. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Mama Joe. Yeah, catch Nox Mente on Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you, Mama Joe.
Bye.
Thanks, Mama Joe.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, I definitely want to.
And she's cute too. So.
I definitely want to hear more of what she's got going on with that stuff. So she's going to be a fun addition to the Nox Mente server for sure.
I think that's absolutely. And I have been talking with Mama Joe off and on Facebook as well. Because she is a medium in her own right, and lots of interesting stuff. So, man, this is great. I'm glad we got the phone lines working. That was really cool.
Did I hear you say you had one more?
No, I was putting it out there, but I think it's probably time to wrap it up. But I really do. I did enjoy everyone calling in, and thank you everyone who called in and who was in the chat. I mean, it was been a fascinating night. The show just goes by way too fast. I mean, it's already
2 hours does go by fast.
Yeah,
amazing. But it's the sweet spot also.
It is definitely the sweet spot. Is there anything you wanted to throw out there, Nish, about Nox Mente or anything else that you're doing?
I am finishing up a new video. It's been like 3 weeks on my personal channel, and so I'm going to be putting that out tonight for people that have been waiting.
Cool.
And other than that, it's Nox Mente 100%. So, and everyone knows where to find us.
Yeah, and this week we have Ryan Peverly from A Culture.
Oh, yay.
Podcast. Yeah, so it's going to be a great show.
That's awesome. Yeah, you guys have great shows, and you have great guests on there, and I'm looking forward to the next evolution of Nox Mente. Whatever you guys plan on doing, I'm sure it's going to be awesome.
You'll never see it coming. It's just going to show up.
That's right.
You're going to be like 2 months later, be like, oh my God, they changed it.
Gary, we're like soft serve.
I'll still be dizzy from it. I'm like, well, what just happened? That's awesome. But right on, you guys. Thanks again for coming on tonight. And I had a great time, and we'll see you on Wednesday nights.
Thanks, Dave. It was a pleasure.
Dave. Appreciate it.
Right on. You guys have a good night. And thanks everyone who came into the chat room again. Yeah, and called in. Awesome. And please join the Discord channels of Nox Mente and Beyonders Crew. Just, you'll love it in there. I'm telling you, it's all good. So you guys have a great night, and we'll see you all next week. Oh, actually, this Sunday, we do have a great show for you. It'll be announced on Facebook, Twitter, all those outlets. Just go to beyondstrange.com. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great night, and we'll see you later. Hasta.